Welcome to the return of Just Talking About What I'm Talking About podcast by yours truly, Red Man Wins. Listen, I want to talk about some things, man, because I've been gone a while. As you see, I've been working on my studio, been working on my spot. I got the greatest behind me. And stay tuned. I'm going to be working to upgrade and to really bring you guys the content that you deserve. And I've been watching a lot of podcasts, been boning up, been doing some reading, meditating, swimming, doing all kinds of things, guys. I've been working out. I got a little bit of something. And, I did all of that so that I could bring you guys the content and the things that you want, because that's the things that people are talking about right now. So let's get ready. Let's get going. Here we go. So the first topic we're going to talk about is a controversial one. The controversial topic is abortion. So I know right now Roe versus Wade was struck down, I do believe, by the Supreme Court. And everybody is up in arms about it. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this up front. I am an independent. I am not a Republican, nor am I a Democrat. I am not a socialist. I am not a capitalist. I am an independent. I believe that we, as people, should all be independent. I think we should all think for ourselves and not follow somebody just because they have a D or an R in their name, or anything else for that matter. So I will tell you that there's a lot of pushback, as you guys know. There's marches. There's all kind of protests for the striking down of Roe versus Wade. And I know it's a hot button issue, but I wanted to address it. I wanted to address it particularly as a black man in America, and so that we can have this conversation and not let other people have the conversation for us. So starting off, okay, abortion, as you know, is often thought of as a woman's right. And with her body, she can do what she will with her body. And so that is I believe that's a strong argument for abortion. Personally, I believe that people should be able to do with their body as they see fit, particularly in America, where we're given the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. However, personally, I feel like that we have to think a little bit deeper and a little bit more on that topic, because I don't think we know when life begins. And because we don't know, there is at least a possibility that the baby or the fetus, or whatever you want to call it, in the womb could be a person, right? And I think that there is and that's something that we need to be careful about. I've done some statistics, and I found that the number one reason for abortion, it might surprise you, it is monetary. It's economics, right? Many women who are young, disadvantaged, want to get an abortion because they feel like they cannot take care of the baby. And that's understandable. That's understandable. But at the same time, I just think about the fact that as black people, many of our ancestors, our parents and our grandparents especially, were really poor, and they had a lot of children. And their children grew up to be better than their parents. Their children aspired and took the opportunities that were given them by their parents and grew and expanded. And I think that's what every generation should do. And so economics, to me, are not a good reason for me to have an abortion. I think that in my generation, particularly, I'm 42 years old, that every girl was taught that if you have a baby as a teenager, you will quote, ruin your life, right? You'll ruin your chances. And I know many of those ladies today who are doing great things. They had babies, some of them, and they did whatever it is that they wanted to do. And however, a lot of them, and I didn't realize this until later, a lot of them had abortions. A lot of girls that I knew in high school, some even in middle school, had abortions, and a lot of people did not know. Um, and I say that because I often think about the fact that the African American population is 13% of the U.S. population. That's 13%. We are not the second largest group in America. Latinos are the second largest group by far. They make up about 27%. And so African Americans have shrunk from second place, if you will, second group to the third. And I believe in part that is because of abortion. Um, and maybe that's not a big deal to you, but it is to me. And when I look at and this is the second part to my question about not so much abortion, but the purposes of abortion. I think that may be the better conversation because, I'm sure many of you all have heard, about Margaret Sanger. She was the founder of Planned Parenthood. Margaret Sanger, if you don't know, and just a brief recap, Margaret Sanger was a white woman, who was a white supremacist. She supported Hitler during World War II. She believed in the master race. She pioneered Planned Parenthood, and the story goes that she was a kind of a poor white woman. Her father actually was an engineer and made decent money, but he spent it all on wine and women and did whatever he wanted to do. And so she grew up poor, and he kept having children and kept having families. And so the money that he did have was basically squandered. And that was her quote motivation for that. And that's fine. But that doesn't excuse your white supremacist direction. It is well documented that Margaret Sanger wrote letters to African American leaders and African American preachers all throughout the South and the United States to encourage them to push for abortion, because she said that African Americans are gullible and they listen to their leaders. So if her organization, convinces the leaders, then African Americans like sheep will follow. This is well documented. These are letters that she wrote. This is not up for debate. Now, as my father says, sometimes you got to eat the fish and spit out the bones. So I understand that sometimes when, something comes out that may be bad, there may be good bits out of it. And that very well may be true. But that puts a real bad taste in my mouth. When you look at the fact that most abortion clinics are in minority neighborhoods. I don't know, man. If African Americans, there's another statistic. African Americans are 13% of the population, as I said before. But African Americans make up 30% of the abortions. That's 30% of the abortions, right? That don't add up. That's just like the prison, right? African Americans make up 13% of the population, but we make up like darn near 50-60% of the population in the prisons. That don't add up. And usually when you have numbers like that, that means there's something going on. That means there's some kind of manipulation going on. I do believe that there is a concerted effort to make black people extinct, to make black Americans, to wipe us out. I believe that. And I'm not saying all people believe that are involved in that, or certainly all white people. I'm not saying that, of course not. But I do believe that there is some powers that have and still are trying to eliminate, weaken, and or destroy African Americans. And the fact that we've, over time, documents and audio tape, we've seen that has been true. I mean, a videotape of Ronald Reagan came out and he was calling black people monkeys, right? There have been many tapes, many of our heroes, John F. Kennedy's wife was talking about Martin Luther King. She said she thought he was a troublemaker, and he was all kinds of bad names. That audio just came out a couple of years ago. So, and I'm not pointing fingers. That's not the point. The point I'm making is that I think that people, not just black people have to think carefully. We need to think about our choices and whatnot like that. And I'm speaking to myself too. So when it comes to the issue of abortion, many people talk about, incest and rape and stuff like that, and that is where it becomes very difficult for me. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and shout out to Lowe. You know, if you were king for a day, what would you do? Is what I asked him. If you were king for a day when it comes to abortion, what would you do? And he said, I don't know, man. And I say the same. If I was king for the day, if I could just decree what I wanted, I don't know what I would do. Because on one hand, I would want to stop abortion. On another hand, I would not want anybody to suffer. I wouldn't want a woman who has been raped or have incest or feels any kind of way or even bigger, her life is in danger because of the pregnancy itself. I remember I worked with a guy years ago, and I never forget it, man. The guy, we was working together out there in the factory, and his wife, he already had a kid, and his wife was pregnant, and she had complications in pregnancy, and they had to take her to Birmingham. I don't remember why, but they took her to Birmingham, and they called him at work and told him that she had died, and I think she had twins, and I think the babies lived, and I think she had the babies. I think actually she wound up dying a little bit later, like a couple of days later, or something to that effect. But they called him at work and told him that he died, man, and I just. He was never the same, man. And so that let me know that's real, that's very real. And so I don't mean to diminish that at all. Obviously she had the babies. I don't know if she knew about the forewarned or anything about the issues or whatnot, but it is a very real risk, and I don't want to diminish that. But so. What does that all mean? What does that all mean? Bottom line is, I think that abortion should be a limited resource. I do not think abortion should be given out just because, people make mistakes. I think you should own up to your mistakes, quote unquote, and you should raise that child, because that child could be the next president of the United States. Might I remind you that Barack Obama was raised by his grandparents. Barack Obama had a father who seemed to be all over the place. And he was raised with a name like Barack Hussein Obama in Hawaii, black man, wind up becoming a senator and then the president of the United States, not to mention going to Harvard. Okay? I do not like when we try to put labels on people and try to see the future. We don't know what's going to happen. And I believe that God looks after all of us, and I believe every little child, every person, and so we shouldn't try to predict what people are going to be. I was just thinking about earlier that I remember when my counselor actually in high school told me that I would never be nothing. Told me that on the day of senior year. When when you're a senior and you get in line and they tell you what you're going to do, career day, I guess it was, and you go there, you get all your little stuff together, you go in there and tell the counselor what you want to be, and they look at your grades and they look at your this and that and talk to you and everything like that. And teacher said, "Man, son, you ain't gonna be nothing." And that hurt me for years and years. And so. But you know what I realized? I'm actually glad that it happened, because it crushed me, and it crushed me early. And so now, if somebody tells me I'm not going to be nothing or I'm not going to succeed, it doesn't bother me, because that's already hit me. It's already hurt me. And I realize that you don't control what happens to me or anybody else, right? You can give your estimation. You can give what you think. Fine, that's cool. But you're not finna tell me what I am and am not going to be, right? That's between me and God. And so I've learned that. I've had to learn that, I think, earlier than many. And I think that we all need to learn that. We all need to realize that, hey, listen, really God gets the final say. And so what we got to do is just step back. And as they say, let go and let God, right? So with all that being said, I think that, the abortion thing, I think we should sit back and think about it. Why are people getting abortions? And particularly as an African-American man or African-American community, as a community, we need to think about what is the toll of abortion? What is the toll of fatherless children? What is the toll of many of the things that we enjoy? And everything has a cost. And so I just hope that we all think about it, you know? And, you know, there's a viral video going on right now with this lady. You know, she's saying that, you know, this guy's trying to bring McDonald's to his son, you know, every day. He's bringing his son McDonald's, and she's like, I'm going to expose this man, right? She's like, I'm going to expose this man because he's bringing McDonald's for his son, but not for my 3 other kids that ain't his. Because he got to eat this McDonald's in front of the siblings, and the siblings don't get any, you know. That is a messed up situation off the top. You know what I'm saying? It's messed up. It's messed up having to try to figure that thing out. Now, with that said, you know how kids is, man. You can't give no kid no Happy Meal and then the other kid just sitting there watching this man eat this Happy Meal. You know that's going to be a problem. You done scarred that kid for life. It's going to take him therapy in 10 years to get over that doggone Happy Meal. At 20 years, he might be 30 years old, still thinking about, man, I remember when you got that Happy Meal. Man, I hate you. It happened. It happens. So the father should have been cognizant about that. And I think he was probably doing that to give her a little jug, you know. At the same time, the other kids is not his responsibility. Everybody's saying that. We all know that. But after gathering all my evidence, man, I'm gonna say something controversial. I think she was right. Why do I say that? I think she was right because for 2 reasons. One, he had done that before. When they was together, he was taking care of all of them. So they kids knew him. Okay? They knew him to a high degree. I don't know if they knew him as a father, but they knew him. So it wasn't like he was just some dude. Like he was that guy to them all. That's the first point. Second point was they still sleeping together. Now that came out later. They still sleeping together. See, you done crack that open now. See, you can't have your cake and eat it too now. See, now you slipping. Now, if I give you one, but I can't give you both. Because of those both, I think she was right. Now, I did not like her angry black woman delivery. I think that was messed up. She should have sat down and said, listen, man, I think that's wrong. I wish you would do this and that. You know, the Bible says that a soft word turneth away wrath. And if she would have just said that, if she would have just came to him, you know, and that's something that I got to work on too, y'all, believe it or not, man. You know, I'm quick to respond. I'm quick to yell out, say something loud and scream, and people think I'm judgmental. Ain't that right? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I know that you find that hard to believe, but you know, we all got to work on it. So that's what I'm working on too. But anyway, that's it. I'm talking about what I'm talking about. Stay tuned for the next episode. It's coming and it's coming live. I'm coming with you. I'm working on the studio. The studio is going to be up, and I got some great topics coming. Peace.